This video is brought to you by my patrons on Patreon. Thank you so much for your generous support in funding this channel and keeping it up and running. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Gavony Township, the show where it's not about me and my decks, it is about you and your decks, whether you're a content creator that I'm collaborating with, someone who has won one of my Patreon perk giveaways, or whether you're a supporter of mine at patreon.com/magicalhacker. For today's episode, we are going to be doing a deck tech and deck gameplay for Brefin and his Intet the Dreamer deck. Normally, I only do one, but this was part of a special that I had in December of last year where I said, everybody who's a patron of mine, if you're getting something anyways, you get an additional deck gameplay. And so, if you're a patron of mine, sometimes I'll just give away like random stuff in addition. Like I've done the giveaway of that signed card. Sometimes I'll do an additional gameplay. There was one month where I let patrons pick my deck for the next month. That was kind of fun. So if you're a supporter of mine, you'll get kind of a couple of extra random perks every now and then. So let's go and start talking about this deck before we actually play it in a game. And we're going to start talking about this by talking about the commander. So the commander here is Intet the Dreamer, 6 mana for a legendary 6/6 dragon with flying that says, whenever Intet the Dreamer deals combat damage to a player, you may pay 2 and a blue. If you do, exile the top card of your library face down. You may look at that card for as long as it remains exiled. You may play that card without paying its mana cost for as long as Intet remains on the battlefield. So this is a pretty cool commander. One of the nice things here is once you're dealing damage, you can pay 3 mana and get a bunch of big creatures for free. So we do have a couple of big creatures in a deck like this. We've got Balefire Dragon, Omnath Locust of Rage, Bloodfire Colossus, Tidespout Tyrant, Apex Altasaur, Darksteel Colossus, and Worldspine Worm. So Brefin's definitely playing a couple of these big creatures to be able to get for free with the commander. But that's not all that we can use to get these cards for free. We've also got some other ways to get free stuff. Epic Experiment, Unexpected Results, Gin of Wishes, Mind's Desire, See the Unwritten, and Summoning Trap all work as additional ways to get these big creatures into play. Now you'll notice Epic Experiment cares about instants and sorceries, so sometimes it's going to be used in a way to chain into one of these other cards. So Epic Experiment, finding a Mind's Desire, finding a See the Unwritten, for example, that would allow you to do some really cool things, even though Epic Experiment can't directly find those big creatures. On top of that, we've also got some ramp, because we don't want to just cheat stuff into play. We'd like to ramp it out too. It's a little bit more redundant and a little bit more reliable that way. So Farseek, Into the North, Rampant Growth, Simic Signet, Cultivate, Kodama's Reach, Recross the Paths, Search for Tomorrow, Skyshroud Claim, and Beanstalk Giant will all work as ways for us to find more lands, put them into play, and then use that extra mana to cast those big creatures for our benefit. In addition, we've also got ways to copy either those ramp spells, the doubling, to copy the free spells, or copy those big creatures. So Nivix, Guildmage, Primal Amulet, Pyromancer's Goggles, Riku of 2 Reflections, Expansion and Explosion, and Saheeli's Artistry will all work as cards that we can use to either double up those instants and sorceries or get copies of our big creatures into play, for example with Saheeli's Artistry. On top of that, we've also got a couple of ways to draw more cards, because every good deck needs to have a little bit of card draw, I would say. Cerebral Vortex, Behemoth Beckoner, Shaman of the Great Hunt, Urban Evolution, Arcanist the Omnipotent, Blasted Genius, Combustible Gearhulk, and Melek Izzet Paragon all work as ways for us to draw more cards throughout the game. In addition to that, we've also got a couple of spot removal spells to make sure that we don't die to anything too crazy. So Deglamour, Destructive Reveille, Reality Shift, Chaos Warp, Dak Faden, Brutal Expulsion, Decimate, Master the Way, Prophetic Bolt, Insult to Injury, and Vengeful Rebirth are all going to work as ways that we can start dealing damage to creatures or destroying artifacts or enchantments, and allowing us to get to the point where we can win the game without having to worry about either a combo piece or from too many creatures hitting damage to us and killing us early. In addition to that, we also got some ways to win the game with some direct damage. So Atarka's Command, Gutter Snipe, Scab Clan Berserker, Chandra's Ignition, and Rurik Thar the Unbound will all be ways that we can kind of close out the game using a little bit of direct damage as well. After that, we've got some recursion, because if you're going to be wanting to get stuff, you want to do some of these crazy interactions, you want to be able to redo them as well. So Evolution Charm, Reap, Archaeomancer, Mizzix's Mastery, the Mirari Conjecture, Charm Breaker, Devils, all 6 of these cards will allow us to recur stuff from our graveyard and allow us to do those broken things a little bit more often, a little bit more repeatedly. We've also got some cantrips to try to smooth out the draws, so Preordain, Cathartic Reunion, Impulse, Scour All Possibilities, Tormenting Voice, and Frantic Search. Technically, they don't do a whole lot on their own, but hopefully they will draw into cards that we can then use to do a lot of great stuff. So those are the cantrips of the deck. Last thing that we've got in the regular non-mana base section of the deck is Lightning Greaves. It's giving Shroud, it's giving Haste, all for 0 mana, so it's pretty important, pretty helpful as well in a deck like this. In terms of the mana base, we've got 10 non-basic lands. We've got Breeding Pool, Frontier Bivouac, Gruul Turf, Highland Weald, Path of Ancestry, Simic Growth Chamber, Steam Vents, Temple of Abandon, Temple of the False God, and Wooded Foothills as cards that we can use to just make sure that we have the right colors of mana throughout the entire game. In terms of basic lands, we've got 7 forests, 2 snow-covered forests, 3 island, 5 snow-covered islands, and then 6 snow-covered mountains, and that is Brefin's Intet the Dreamer deck. So let's go ahead, and now that we've talked about the deck tech, let's go ahead and jump into the game. I'm excited to play this one, so let's see how it plays out. And here we are in the game. So we've got Intet the Dreamer set up. We've got our opening hand here. I'm not a huge fan of this hand. It's only got 2 lands in it. So we are definitely going to go ahead and mulligan here and try to find a great 7 here with our second hand. We do get to have this Insult and Injury, and it's got like the normal split look to it compared to like the regular Aftermath look. And honestly, I kind of liked that like unique border of the Aftermath cards. Maybe I'm a little bit weird on that one. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and mulligan this one. Maybe I'm a little bit weird about that, but personally, I thought it was cool. I thought it was really interesting. All right, so we've got this second hand. Couple of 5 drops, 6 drops, and more, but we've got 4 lands. So you know what? I think this is worth keeping. We don't have double blue yet, but I think this is worth it. We'll get to keep 7 cards in hand, and that should be pretty nice. So we are playing Into the Dreamer. We're going to go ahead and say no possible play, yield all. So we're going to start off, I think, with the Frontier Bivouac, just because we have no 1-drops anyways, so we might as well get that down. Afterwards, I guess we get down the Mountain. I don't think we'll need double green for anything to like represent something that we could be, casting. Whereas double red, for whatever reason, I think of more cards that could be useful there. So like a Fork, or Reverberate, stuff like that.Maybe an opponent will play around it, and if an opponent is playing around something like that, then, I mean, it's not very likely, but at least it's something, so we might as well get a little bit of free value while we have the chance. Yep, so if you weren't there for the deck tech, you wanted to skip ahead to the game, we've got Intet the Dreamer here as the commander. 6 mana for a legendary 6/6 dragon with flying that says whenever Intet the Dreamer deals combat damage to a player, you may pay 2 and a blue. If you do, exile the top card of your library face down. You may look at that card for as long as it remains exiled. You may play that card without paying its mana cost for as long as Intet remains on the battlefield. So we need to cast it, with Intet being around. We can't actually wait and just cast it, whenever we'd like. But we can look for it. We can look at it as long as it's exiled. So as long as it's exiled, we can see it. We can keep track of it. Mountain coming down for one of our opponents. Yeah, so this deck's going to be playing a lot of Tormenting Voice. That's a great card we can get down on turn 2. With that, I think I'd want to discard maybe Chandra's Ignition, although that is pretty important for us to use, especially if we can get down that Apex Altasaur. This is pretty good to use as a board wipe, so maybe we do want to keep that here. And I feel like the See the Unwritten is pretty nice also, so maybe we use the Tormenting Voice to discard a land. I don't know. I'm not really sure here. We'll see what we draw into for us to discard to this Tormenting Voice. Although, you know what? Apex Altasaur, we're probably not going to be trying to hardcast it anyway, so might as well put it into the graveyard. I think most of the stuff that we have is going to be cheating stuff into play from the library, not so much from our hand. So, yeah, that's what we're doing. We're playing Intet, we're playing a lot of big creatures, and a couple of other cool little synergies with Spell Slingers. So that should be pretty fun. Our first opponent here is Knight 6 playing Teysa Karlov. Also, one last thing I did want to mention. This is not my deck. This is Brefin's deck. One of my patrons on patreon.com/magicalhacker. If you want me to play your deck and you want to see it come to my YouTube channel gets automatically updated to EDHREC. So if you want to see your deck played on the front page of EDHREC, patreon.com/magicalhacker. That's one way you can get that done. All right, so we're going to go ahead and draw a card here. We draw into a Lightning Greaves. I kind of like getting that down here. We can wait on the Tormenting Voice for another turn. Yeah, let's go and get down the Lightning Greaves here. And we'll just kind of run it out. Although, hold on a second. If we go for the Tormenting Voice, See the Unwritten and the Chandra's Ignition I like very much. Also, the Apex Altasaur is not too bad either. Man, this is a tough one. I feel like everything in the hand I want to keep, so let's just go for the Lightning Greaves for right now. I'm sure we'll draw into something that we can discard to the Tormenting Voice here pretty soon. We've got this turn. a couple more turns after this, so we've got plenty of chances to get this done. So yeah, Knight 6 is our first opponent. They are playing Teysa Karlov, 4 mana for a legendary 2/4 human advisor that says, if a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Also, creature tokens you control have vigilance and lifelink. So with a commander like this, I usually think this is going to be situated for an aristocrats-based deck, where you're getting a lot of blood artist effects on the battlefield. You get down your commander, and suddenly you're doubling up on all of those triggers. So you can pretty much close out the game very quickly, very easily with a commander like this. So that's what I think of. That's what I tend to think of when I see Teysa Karlov is going to be aristocrats. However, there's also the possibility that this could be a life gain based deck, since creature tokens are getting lifelink. It also could just be a token based deck. So white-black also being available as a token commander. So we'll see exactly what this is going to do. Like I said, I'm thinking mostly aristocrats, but we will wait and see exactly how this plays out. All right, second opponent here is Harlequin playing Saskia the Unyielding, 4 mana for a legendary 3/4 human soldier with vigilance and haste that says, as Saskia the Unyielding enters the battlefield, choose a player. And she's pointing there. I'm pointing at you. I'm pointing at you. Choose a player. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, it deals that much damage to the chosen player. So if those creatures are attacking the chosen player, they deal twice as much damage. If they're attacking somebody else, they get to deal damage to that person and to the chosen player at the same time. Idyllic Tutor are going to be something they're going to go and use here. What enchantment do they want to find? I love this new art. This art is super cool. Yeah, so let's go ahead and see what they reveal off of this tutor for an enchantment. What would I be anticipating? Probably like a double damage type enchantment. I would think like Furnace of Wrath. Well, they don't have any red mana out there yet, so Furnace of Wrath, Dictator of the Twin Gods, stuff like that. They're going to go for a wild pair. Not usually what I'm thinking of, but that's pretty cool too. I don't get to see this card all that often in Commander because it's just pretty tough to use really effectively. So let's see if the Fauna Shaman is going to go ahead and attack somebody here. Doesn't look like that's what they want. Oh, it looks like they want to attack us. Okay. All right, very nice. We'll get attacked for 2, go down to 38. And while we're getting that, we're going to go talk about our third and final opponent, Sleep Elemental, playing Sek'kuar Deathkeeper. 5 mana for a legendary 4/3 Orc Shaman that says, whenever another non-token creature you control dies, create a 3/1 black and red Graveborn creature token with haste. So this is going to be a deck, at least, they're going to want to have a lot of non-token creatures dying, which makes me think this is definitely going to be an Aristocrats deck as well. So you can create extra tokens. They're a little bit lost on mana here. They discarded a mountain after playing that Karoo land. So let's go ahead. We're going to draw a card for ourselves here. And we draw into Highland Weald. We might as well play that down right now, although Tormenting Voice could discard it. No, I think we need the 5 mana. We need all the mana we can get. I'm going to go ahead and discard the Apex Altasaur here, though. I feel like that's probably what we want to do. We'll play the Tormenting Voice, discarding the Apex Altasaur. We can put that into the graveyard and eventually get it back out at some point. I'm sure we've got plenty of recursion in this deck as well, so shouldn't be too hard for us to get it back. Let's see what Tormenting Voice draws us into. Draws us into another land and the Mirari Conjecture. So if we can get an instant into the graveyard, we can use that first chapter ability. Otherwise, I don't think we're going to use it until we can get that first chapter ability used pretty well. Although it is pretty nice, we can use that second chapter, return the Tormenting Voice, and then third chapter comes around, we can actually double up on that spell, which is pretty nice. It is pretty cool, for sure. It would also be nice to use the See the Unwritten twice from the Mirari Conjecture. So again, we don't have to go for this right away. We can wait on that. Next turn, I like getting down another land, and still no cards for us to cast down, but I think in a couple of turns we will be able to get out our commander. We can put the Lightning Greaves on it. I don't think we're going to attack with it. I think it's much better to have a 6/6 up as a blocker if you can, whereas mostly these attacks are going to be from trying to trigger the Intet. So we've talked about pretty much all of our opponents. We've got 2 Aristocrat decks at the table. And then I'm thinking this Saskia deck is going to be like an aggro-based deck. So we'll see if they manage to get that 2 more lands out there in order for them to cast their commander on time. So they've got Kunoros, Hound of Aetherios here, which is preventing players from casting spells from graveyard and preventing creatures from being reanimated from the graveyard, which is not going to be too bad for us. I mean, we're not playing black, so it's not going to really hurt us all that much. It might affect Harlequin and Sleep Elemental a lot more, honestly. They're going to go and use the Fauna Shaman, discarding a creature card. They're discarding the Kinjala's Sunwing. So they're going to go and find a creature in the hand. And they found a Birds of Paradise, which they're going to go ahead and play right now. So kind of an expensive Birds of Paradise. They had to pay 4 mana for it. 2 here and then 1 to activate this ability, one for the converted mana cost. But you know what? It is their deck. It is their life. They can do whatever they want with it, especially if they're trying to go for their Saskia next turn. So they've got the Talisman of Resilience. That's going to allow them to add red. I'm sorry, black. And then the Birds of Paradise is going to give them red for them to cast their commander down. Sleep Elemental goes ahead and plays down an Evolving Wilds. Now, they didn't play anything for 3 mana last turn. Pretty sure they're not going to play anything for 3 mana this turn either. Unless they happen to draw into one and they say, you know what, I think it's time for me to go for the Evolving Wilds. I like these Karoo lands, and I feel like I really, if I were trying to make my decks a little bit... I mean, this is a high-risk, high-reward type of card, where the risk is you might draw into it when you need an untapped land. That's the risk. The reward is if you've got it early on and you can play, you know, stuff that are pretty cheap. Ooh, this is awesome. Fleshback Marauder. It's going to get rid of the Kunoros. And also get rid of one of these 2 cards. Probably going to be getting rid of the Fauna Shaman, I would think. They just tutored up the Birds of Paradise, so they might need it. Let's see if that's what they go for. They're going to actually, yeah, they're going to keep the Birds of Paradise. So we don't have to worry about that repeatable tutor Fauna Shaman staying on the battlefield, which is pretty nice. So now coming to our turn, we'll see if we draw into a 4-drop. If we do, that'd be great. But we'll see exactly how it turns out. Bloodfire Colossus, another pretty expensive creature, which is okay. We'll go ahead and play down the Snow-Covered Forest. Yeah, let's play down the Snow-Covered Forest here. Nothing that we want to do, so we're just going to go and yield until our next turn. We actually can't cast anything in the hand. I know we did kind of keep a card with a lot of high CMC cards in it, but that's just how it works sometimes, and I feel like that's totally worth the risk. Compared, like, we could have drawn to another hand, and that hand could have very easily been a hand where we had not enough lands, and we could have just mulliganed to oblivion. So I think it's better to keep those, you know, kind of hands and try to win anyways, than to try to mulligan into a good hand. It's not usually a very smart idea in Commander, in my opinion. All right, so right now we're not seeing anything too crazy for our opponents, thankfully, so we're not going to have to worry about having a bit of a slower start here. Yeah, I feel like this is fine. I would like to eventually get to the point where we can get the See the Unwritten down. You know, next turn, technically, we could play out the Mirari Conjecture, and then that way we have a good setup for See the Unwritten later on. That would be pretty nice, to be sure. Let me see here. If we go for that, that's the Chapter 1. Chapter 2, we'll only be able to get back the Tormenting Voice. After that, we get the See the Unwritten. You know what? Technically, we would be able to get out our commander on the turn after that. So you know what? This actually seems pretty nice. We will go for that Mirari Conjecture. It is not being used for full value since we have no instance that we've drawn into yet. But that's also okay here. We can just get that down. We get to ignore the Chapter 1 ability. But Chapter 2, get back the Tormenting Voice and play out our commander. So next turn, the 5-drop. Turn after that, we get back the Tormenting Voice and play out our commander. Turn after that, we play the See the Unwritten. We get the Ferocious ability thanks to our commander being out on the battlefield. And the Mirari Conjecture will copy it. So we can get up to, 4 creature cards from the top 16 cards. That should be pretty nice. You've already seen 2 of our big creatures, so we've only got 5 left in the deck. And if there are any changes I would want to make to a deck like this, I personally would probably drop all the cantrips and add add 6 more big creatures into the deck. So creatures with converted mana cost 7 or greater. And it is tough to hard cast those, but that's not what this deck's all about. This deck's all about cheating them into play. So we might not even have enough creatures to get a lot of value out of the See the Unwritten here. Even with such a great play, the cantrips might just make it a little bit harder for us to use. So that's why if I were changing anything in the deck, I'd be changing some of those cantrips, turning them into big creatures, and then calling it a day after that. So next turn, we're going to go for the Mirari Conjecture, unless we draw into something better, which I don't think we will. We draw into a basic land here. We're going to go ahead and play on the island just because we do need to have, blue mana while we can get that down. So we'll go ahead and get down the Mirari Conjecture, and then pass the turn after this. Alright, so passing it over to Knight 6. And again, next turn, we're going to be able to return the Tormenting Voice, play it out our commander. We'll be up to 7 cards in the hand, so we actually could find even better cards to play than the See the Unwritten. Although, this one just seems super good. I just love to play this one out, personally. Lightning Griffs is pretty nice. I think Sleep Elemental's already played out a few ways to, make people sacrifice creatures. Let's see if they've got some more cards that do that here. There's not a whole lot of value in them going for it right now because obviously Sullen Simulacrum dying is good for Harlequin, and Gravecrawler doesn't really matter to Knight 6. This does make me think this is going to be a zombie-based deck, which is kind of strange. Normally, you're not trying to do like zombie-based stuff, but we'll see. We'll see exactly what they're trying to go for here. Also, Kunoros is kind of an interesting inclusion. This kind of goes directly against what you'd want from your commander, because if you're making creatures die, you want to bring them back, because that's kind of the whole point of letting them die, is you can just bring them back and get value out of them that way. But this one's going to make it tough, so I'm not exactly sure why to include this one in a Teysa Karlov deck. I'm sure we'll get shown up, and somebody will explain to me the error of my ways here in a second. Let's see what Knight 6 does before I fall victim to one of the classic blunders. 3 mana coming down. What are they going to cast here? I'm kind of curious. They've got the sweet new art for that Field of Ruin. I love this art. The chains, like the way that has like the chains really close up. I love it. I think this is such a cool little art. Probably my favorite art on from Theros, honestly. Theros Beyond Death. I love this art so much. It's really cool. They're going to go ahead and use the Never from the another Aftermath card. Never to return. They destroyed the creature here. What was it? Oh, I'm sorry, they destroyed their commander, Sek'kuar Deathkeeper. Okay, that's not too bad. It only counts not to creatures they control, so it's not really going to be doing a whole lot anyways. They attack them for 2 as well, so now Knight 6 is clearly on the throne by themselves. They've got 3 mana left up. It might be that they're going to use the return ability from the graveyard. I'm sorry, that is a sorcery that costs 4 mana, so never mind. They can use this to exile a target card from a graveyard and create a 2/2 zombie creature token. So maybe this is zombie tokens after all. So they're going to be creating tokens, it looks like. And they're doing a lot of zombie-based stuff, so maybe that's what this is, trying to give their zombies vigilance and lifelink if they're tokens. Not too bad. Alright, so Harlequin goes ahead and plays out the wild pair here. So now, when they get out their commander, they can actually... Is this from the hand only, I think? If you cast it from your hand, yeah. So it has to be cast from the hand in order to trigger the wild pair. But I'm sure when they cast other things here, they're going to be able to play out really cool stuff and tutor up stuff with the wild pair. Kind of an interesting card. Like I said, I don't see it often enough in Commander, but I think it is neat. And I'm excited to see exactly how Harlequin changes the game up and makes things really scary here. Next turn, we're going to return the Tormenting Voice and probably cast our commander. We'll see if there's something else better to do. I don't think Knight 6 playing a white-black deck will have any answers for our commander. I would hope not, at least. Just because I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of value. Ooh, this is even better. We can say with the Garruk, we can actually take out the Garruk here, creating, yeah, check this out. Ooh, Garruk. We'll say this Ooh, Garruk in the chat. I will try to fly to meet him. So I'm going to put this in the chat here because Knight 6 does have mana to be able to respond to our equip with the Lightning Greaves, but giving that haste is important for us to take out the commander, and I'm hoping that this will allow them to see that it's going to be very valuable for us to actually be able to attack the Garruk with our commander. We draw into another land, which is pretty cool too. So this turn we get down to 6th mana. Next turn we get down to 7th mana. I don't think we're going to draw into a 1-drop, although we technically very easily could. We're going to go and play it on the snow-covered mountain here. And we're going to play out the Intet. So cast this out. And try to equip it with the Lightning Greaves. Now, if our opponent has a response to this, I mean, nothing we can do. We're just going to have to allow that to happen. You know what I mean? We really don't have any other options. Poor Garruk didn't hurt anybody. We will try to take them out. Let's see if Knight 6 has a response here. We're hoping that they decide... Yep, looks like they're okay with this. Garruk, though, not the scariest Planeswalker, but I definitely don't want to see that emblem come out. The -3 is also not too great because they can start getting rid of creatures very easily. They're going to go ahead and Force of Vigor. Who's actually casting this one? This is actually fine. Harlequin says they put a sad face, so they're seeing their wild pair being destroyed as well. Let me see if it's not from this player. It's obviously from Sleep Elemental. So nice thing here, we do get to keep our commander out there. They do have the ability to -3 to destroy it though, which is kind of an issue. Let's see if this manages to change things up for us. Yep, so this is not going to be great for us. They did have to exile a card from their hand. I'm hoping that they don't go for that -3 with the Garruk. Let's just see what they exiled. They exiled the Reclamation Sage. Alright, that's not too bad. So with the Garruk out there, I'm hoping that... Ooh, what does Knight 6 have here? They've got... I'm hoping they find a better target for that -3. Because we want to be able to have Ferocious available for our See the Unwritten when we have the Morai Conjecture go off. That would be pretty nice. Sorry, Wild Pair is too strong, says Sleep Elemental. So 3 mana from Knight 6. What do they have available? They are playing white and black, which means they've got a couple of answers to Planeswalkers in the form of, you know, dealing damage or destroying any target permanent or exiling any target permanent. Stuff like Anguished Unmaking, Vindicate, Utter End, Despark, stuff like that. They've got plenty of options to be able to get rid of the Garruk. Let's see what they decide to go for, though, here. What's going to be their game plan? What's going to be their desire? Now, with the Tormenting Voice, if our commander goes away, I mean, See the Unwritten is nice, but I feel like I'd prefer to have it. I don't know. We'll see if this manages to work out this way. Yeah, we'll just try our very best to see our commander stick around for a little while. Yeah, and Lightning Greaves going away, that's not too great for us. And, you know, we will get that chapter ability, I'm sure, on our next turn. So we'll see if there's something better to do than, you know, the See the Unwritten. I do like going for the Tormenting Voice. We discard 2 cards, one from this additional cost and then one from the spell itself. So we lose 2 cards to gain 4 cards. That's not too bad. See the Unwritten, I think, will be probably better even if we don't have the Intet out there. So we'll wait and see exactly how this works out. Chandra's Ignition could be also pretty cool. We can deal damage to all the other creatures on the battlefield, which is nice. Let's see. Currently, Harlequin can get out their commander. Let's see if they decide to go for that here. Knight 6 says, agreed, we're about to see some shenanigans. So, let's see if Harlequin has anything else they'd like to do here. They get out their commander. Ooh, destroy target non-artifact, non-black creature. Well, that's going to be Intet, I'm sure. Yeah, because all these other creatures are black. So I guess they're going to destroy our creature. Not sure exactly why they would want to do that when the Garruk can already destroy it anyways. But that going back to the command zone, that should be okay for us. I still think we're going to go for the See the Unwritten, even still with that spot removal on our commander. Getting 2 creatures out there for just a lowly 6 mana should be pretty nice. We'll see if we even can find the 2 creatures in the top 16. That will be, in a way, it will be kind of a little bit of a struggle. And who knows, we might not even have been able to find 2 creature cards per 8. So maybe it doesn't really matter at all whether we have our commander out there or not. Time of need, they're going to be able to search for a legendary creature card here. Let's see what they really need in a situation like this. They revealed already the Birds of Paradise and the Wild Pair. We already saw those hit the battlefield. So yeah, this game has been okay so far. We've been getting a couple of our creatures destroyed at this point. Alesha, who smiles at death, is going to be their choice. So technically they can cast her out right now. Let's see if they decide to do that. Just because Alesha, I mean, they might be playing a deck where they're trying to get out creatures from the graveyard. I guess they could get out the Kinjali Sunwing, maybe the Fauna Shaman to be able to get those that ability back online to be able to discard more creature cards for Alesha to get back. That could be an option. Let's see what Sleep Elemental decides to do here. They're going to go ahead and create 2 more black and green wolf creature tokens with when this creature dies, put a loyalty counter on each Garruk you control. So currently, their Garruk could go up to 9 loyalty, and that is enough to see that emblem come down. Yep, so this is a bit of an issue. Why destroy the flyer that can destroy the Garruk? We're going to ask this in the chat just so our opponents kind of realize, like, maybe it wasn't a smart idea to destroy the commander here. So let's see what they've got. Dreamshaper Shaman. This is a way that they can sacrifice their wolf tokens. They're going to play the Gruul Turf. That's going to return a land they control to their hand. So they've got 2 unknown cards and a land in their hand now. After this, we are going to go for the See the Unwritten. I don't think we're going to be able to find 4 creatures anyway, so at least we get 2 down. That should be pretty nice. Bloodfire Colossus is also pretty bad because it doesn't allow us to find a way to hit the Garruk and take that off the battlefield. So this might be a little too late for us. That evoked Shriekmaw might have sealed the deal for the Garruk here to win. So let's see what the Wolves decide to do. They're going to start sending these creatures. Obviously, this one can't block, so they're just going to take the 2. But Harlequin can definitely block with the Solemn Simulacrum. And let's see if that's going to put the Garruk into the ultimate range. So they've got a couple of other wolves here available. Let's see what happens. Yeah, they are going to trade with the wolf. So now a Garruk can ultimate. Agreed, board is about to erupt. Garruk is about to erupt. So we're going to go ahead and see. I'm pretty sure next turn they're going to get that ultimate down. That's pretty gross. Getting down an overrun for every turn It's gonna make this game end very, very quickly. So we are going to do our very best to take out the Garrick as soon as we can, but it's not going to be super easy anyways. All right, so Dream Shaper Shaman, they can go ahead, and if they decide to sacrifice that wolf for their next turn, then that would be okay. But right now, they don't have the mana to actually activate that triggered ability. All right, so going to our turn, we're going to play down another land. Mirari's Conjecture will allow us to copy instants and sorceries that we cast. Let's go ahead and draw a card. We draw a Snow-Covered Forest, so a little bit more on the land side. We're going to say okay to the triggered ability from the Mirari Conjecture. So now it's a matter of playing down a land, and like I said, I think we're just going to go for that See the Unwritten here and see what we can find. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then one more mana here from the Highland Weald. We're going to go ahead and always yield to this ability from the Mirari Conjecture. We're probably not going to be drawing into a 1-drop instant or sorcery, so we'll just see how this works out for us. So we've got 2 See the Unwrittens. Pretty high chance of us whiffing here, so I'm hoping that we find something pretty good. So first first 8 cards, we've got no cards to choose from. Second batch of 8 cards, let's see what we can find. Second batch of 8 cards. Me? I just whiffed. We'll let them know, and there's also no cards here on the second group of 8 either. So that's pretty much it for us. We're going to go ahead and pass until our next draw step. So Night 6 was trying to make us seem scary. Did not work out for them. So we have no cards. There were no creatures in the top 16 cards of our deck. So that Mirari Conjecture did not have... What are the odds? I don't know. I don't know what the odds are for a deck like this. But was, just the way it worked out. Next turn, we're going to have 8 mana. So technically, we can get down the Bloodfire Colossus. Should be pretty nice as a way to be able to deal with the board state. If we can at least deal with the creatures, that emblem from the Garrick shouldn't be too bad. Alright, so Night 6 here is going to gain 3 life going up to 41. It does look like they do have a little bit of life gain synergies here with their deck that they're playing. Night 6 says, geez, yep. So that's one downside here. Even with our commander out there or not out there, it's was not going to be that great for us. So I do like going next turn for the Bloodfire Colossus. I think that should be pretty nice. I guess in a way we should have gone for the Tormenting Voice, although we would probably have to have discarded a card. Unless we could find something else to play, which I don't think that would have been too likely, but we're going to try our best here. Night 6, going to go ahead and attack with the Gravecrawler. Maybe the whiffs will make our opponents not so afraid of us anymore, and hopefully will allow us to start doing some great stuff. So we've already seen, of the spot removal that's been used, all of it has been used on at least one of our cards. So there was the Force of Vigor, which was used on our Lightning Greaves, and then the Evoke Shriek Maw was used on our commander. So I don't think there's been any other spot removal this game, right? Aven Mindfulness are coming down. This is pretty nice. It will at least help our deck survive against Sleep Elemental and Night 6. They don't have any ways to tutor or ramp anymore, thanks to the Aven Mindsets are being on the battlefield. Technically, they can use those cards, but it's just going to be very unlikely they'll find what they want with a tutor, or even find a land with ramp spells. It still has a high possibility of whiffing there, so... Let's see what Harlequin does on their turn. They've got a couple of mana here. They've got 7 mana with the Birds of Paradise. So what do they want to do with their 5 cards in hand? They still have not cast out their commander just yet. The emblem here, or the Garrick here, does have the ability to ultimate. I'm hoping the Aven Mindsetter decides to attack the Garrick and put it down to 4. That way it makes it a little bit less likely that Garrick will eventually go out and be able to ultimate. So I guess that's one reason they wanted to go for that Evoked Shriek Maw. They've got a flying creature with flash that they can go ahead and fly over these wolves into the Garrick, Cursed Huntsman. And pretty interesting card. It's usually when you play a commander that or a planeswalker that does not have any plus loyalty abilities. There's not really a good way for you to keep that planeswalker out there for a long time. But Garrick's first ability actually makes some wolves, which puts loyalty counters on him in a different way, which is pretty interesting. It feels a little strange thematically. Loyalty has to do with the planeswalker deciding that your cause is worth, is worth helping, and it just makes me very. It's just hard to understand why Garrick would think that your cause is worth helping more when only when his wolves die. When his wolves die, that makes him even more invested. I guess, no, that kind of makes sense if he has an emotional connection to the wolves. And he just loves those wolves, and, you know, them dying makes him really sad. He's like, you know what? I am definitely going to stick around now. All right, so they're going to go for the final parting here. So they can search their library for 2 cards, putting one into their hand and one into the graveyard. So let's see what they find and what they decide to put into the graveyard, too. If I were them, I'd probably be putting, like, anger into the graveyard or something. That's usually how I'd use a final parting. And then we can also see them put something else in the hand. We actually won't be able to see what they put into the hand. It will just be 2 cards, and one will go into the hand, and one will go into the graveyard. So it's basically like a demonic tutor, but you pay an additional 3 mana to get haste onto your board. So in a way, it's kind of like demonic tutor plus fervor on a final parting. If you're playing red and you decide to put in the anger. Instead, they decide to put in the ankle shanker. So this combined with a Lesher, they could get this back out from the graveyard, giving their creatures first strike and death touch. That combined with trample could mean a lot of damage being dealt to all of us. Yep, so let's see what Harlequin does here. 2 damage over at the Garruk. This was what we were hoping for. So now Garruk is not in ultimate range anymore. However, they could find a way to sacrifice their wolves and still make the Garruk die anyways. So let's see if that's what they decide to go for. If that's what they've got available. Next turn, I think we'll just get done the Bloodfire Colossus. I mean, it depends on what we draw into. I actually wouldn't mind getting out our commander either. Just getting that out there so we can start using that ability, the triggered ability there. That'd be pretty nice too, I think. So here they can make 2 more wolves and then pay 3 mana to sacrifice the wolf to the Dream. What is this thing called? The Dream something? Dream Shaper Shaman. So they might be going for that one. Trying to put some more loyalty counters onto the Garruk. So let's see how this all plays out. Shriek Maw coming down. This is going to allow them to destroy the Aven Mind Sensor here, I'm sure. Unless they've got another way they want to do it. Maybe they want to go ahead and destroy one of the wolves. Try to get the commander up to... oh, it has to be non-black. So yeah, they have to choose the Aven Mind Sensor here. Obviously, they're not going to be choosing the Birds of Paradise. That just doesn't do as much in a game of commander to destroy. Alright, so Garruk's going to create 2 more wolves. So a couple more wolves there for good old Gary. Oh, not Gary, sorry. Garruk or Garruk. There's a couple of ways to pronounce it. I'm sure there's one of them that's the right way and then one of them's the wrong way. You can tell me in the comments down below which way it is. We're going to get attacked for 5 here, although I don't think we're the scariest at any rate. But it looks like they're kind of splitting up the damage, trying to deal damage to a bunch of players all at once. We are getting the most damage our way, though, so let's see if this really makes a whole lot of sense here. I would assume they're going to go for that 5 at the player with the highest life total. They're going to go for these Swords to Plowshares, targeting the Dream Shaper Shaman. It looks like they do have the mana held up to be able to sacrifice one of those wolves. So that's one way that we can kind of keep our damage a little bit... we can keep our life total a little bit higher. They did get rid of the creature that was attacking us. They might have thought that was attacking them, and that's why they went for it now instead of after combat. But this is still good for us. We get to not take any damage here. On our next turn, we'll probably just play out the Snow-Covered Mountain and then go for our commander. That's what I think we should do. I mean, unless we draw into something else better, then we can go for that, but I think just getting at the commander should be nice. It's a way for us to do some more cool stuff. I mean, technically, yes, the Garruk can destroy it with the -3, but if they decide to go for that, that's a win in my book, honestly. So, we draw into the Expansion and Explosion, so we can deal damage to the Garruk. Let me see how much, that's 4 damage, or 4 mana, so 1, 2, 3, 4. We can do 4 damage to it. I think that's pretty nice. We can make sure that Garruk doesn't do anything else too crazy. Yeah, you know what? I think this is pretty nice. We're going to go ahead and do this. And I think the way we'll do it is we'll do it at the end step of Harlequin's turn. I think that should be pretty nice. We also can kind of use that expansion to our benefit here. If somebody else has an instant or sorcery that we want to copy, we can actually go for that. Otherwise, we should probably just use the explosion here at the end step of Harlequin. So if Knight 6 or Harlequin has something that they want to do and we want to copy it, then we can go for that. Otherwise, I think we're just going to explosion the Garruk. Alright, so not too bad here. I think this is actually working out pretty well for us. Dealing some damage, drawing some cards. This should be pretty nice too. Knight 6. It's kind of weird though, the way that explosion is worded. It does target any player, which is kind of strange. I feel like that would really make it easy to be misused in a game of Magic, where you're trying to deal damage to your opponent directly and you accidentally make them draw cards. I feel like that would happen a lot more often than you want. So I might as well just make this like, you draw cards. Why make it target player? I just don't understand that. I know it is a little bit extra versatility in Commander, where you can make an opponent draw cards. Technically, you can use this to make an opponent mill themselves out. Obviously, those are great cards, but great uses of this card. But at the same time, I just feel like it's just going to come up so little, whereas the accidental targeting incorrectly will come up a lot more. Maybe they were designing this in terms of paper. I keep forgetting that paper is like the main way that Magic is played, not so much on Magic Arena or Magic Online. They're going to go ahead and create a token here with their land, and then they played out their commander. So now this token has Vigilance and Lifelink. They can attack for 1 anywhere they'd like. They're going to attack us for 2, which is fine. We have no issues with getting attacked for 2 here. They're going to attack over at Harlequin for 1. It's got Vigilance, so it's basically a free attack. They're probably not going to be blocking with the Birds of Paradise. I would be very surprised if somebody would chump block a 1/1 with a Birds. That would be... I feel like that's only what you do if you're at 1 life. Even if you're at 2 life, you still take the 1 over losing the Birds. I don't think that it's super likely. I mean, you'd only do it if not doing it means you lose the game. So let's see what Harlequin does on their turn. Again, at their end step, my plan is to go for the explosion targeting the Garruk and try to get that off the battlefield before we see any more wolves being created, or even worse, that ultimate or the -3 being used. Technically, I guess what we could do is we could see the Garruk, see if they want to use that -3 on one of these creatures first. That doesn't sound too bad. Tender Shoot Dryad should be pretty nice. The risk here is that they make more wolves, but even then, having more wolves on the battlefield isn't going to be that bad for us. Eventually, we can get down our commander and then use the Chandra's Ignition. That gets rid of all the wolves anyways, so... You know what? I'm going to hope that they're going to go for that -3 on the creature here. And if they do that, then we don't even need to use the explosion at this point. If they don't go for it, then I'm going to be really upset that I didn't go for it now. So let's go ahead and say, let's just say this. Sleep, are you planning on using Garruk to destroy the Tender Shoot Dryad on your turn? Let's see if they decide to go for that here. If they are going for that, then that will be a reason that we should not use the explosion right now. If they're not using that here, then what we can do is we can use the explosion right now and get rid of the Garruk off the battlefield while we have the chance. Let's see what they actually go for here. We're going to wait a couple of minutes here to see if they respond, because this is pretty important. Whenever you're playing a game of Commander, talking to your opponents, it can really impact the game a lot. Did they mention anything so far in this game? There might be... They did say earlier, they said, hello everybody. They might have it closed though, because they haven't said anything in a while. They did say that the wild pair is too strong. Do you think it's a threat? It makes 4 tokens per round of the table. Those tokens basically are 3/3s. I'm more worried about the Abbey, says Sleep Elemental. Every upkeep we see trees, says Knight 6. So they're saying that they're more worried about the Abbey. I can't deal with the Abbey, and neither can their commander. The commander can't deal with Ermendal anyways. Actually, it's the Planeswalker, not the commander. They say that they can do that, so we're gonna let them do that. That's pretty good news for us. Yeah, I feel pretty nice about this. With the Westvale Abbey, it's good. It's great to get creatures off the battlefield while we have the chance. But I feel like this is going to be nice for us. So they get down pretty low in loyalty with their Garruk. Okay, cool. Thanks. We're going to say thank you here because we want to make sure our opponent realizes that we are actually very thankful for them doing this in a kind of a nice way. That creation of the Saproling here, it does already give the city's blessing to Harlequin, meaning they've got their first 3/3 on the battlefield. They're going to go ahead and destroy that creature, drawing a card off of that ability as well. So now the Garruk is a little bit more vulnerable to getting attacked. So there are currently 1, 2, 3, 4 creatures out on the battlefield that can try to deal damage to Garruk. They have plenty of wolves for right now. So I feel like this is fine. Now, if they go for the ultimate ability after, doing like a board wipe or something, because technically all they got to do is just attack with all the creatures and then play a board wipe, wiping away all the creatures, and then the Garruk will go to -6. So, if that were the situation, then I'd definitely be using the explosion right now to get rid of the Garruk while I have the chance. Otherwise, it's just going to be around for a lot longer, and I just don't want to see that happening. So, let's see what they've got. It looks like they're casting something here. They've got something in there. Don't worry about the Abbey. You have done us a favor. 1 turn of no attacks, says Knight 6. So they're going to say, I won't attack you on your next turn. Sek'kuar coming down. So this does mean, in my opinion, that we're probably going to be seeing a way for them to get rid of all those wolves. Especially that they're trying to, sacrifice things anyways, I'm sure, to trigger the Sek'kuar. Let's see what happens from here. Do they go ahead and do a full-out attack? And if they do, who do they decide to attack? That's the big question. The Ormondal... the Ormondal player, if I were them, I'd probably still want to attack them. Yeah, it looks like they're going to attack them with the wolves. Yeah. Sending them to the wolves. They're going to also attack with the Shriekmaw over at Harlequin, and then we're going to get hit for a 2-2 ourselves. That's fine. 2 damage, I don't think it's a big deal. I feel okay with this in this situation. Now, the question is, do we actually... Yeah, we're not going to do any blocks. Do we actually use the expansion and explosion now? And if we do, what do we target? You know what? I don't even know. I think... Technically, we could use it on the commander, but the commander would just come back. We can use it on Sek'kuar. That's not bad either. That, prevents them from... But they're only going to create 1 token here. That's not that scary. Garruk, obviously, eventually could get back up to ultimate range. I think we're just going to, hit the Garruk and try to stop that from happening. Yeah, we'll take the 2 damage, going down to 34. And then from there, I guess we'll just go for the deal 4 damage to the Garruk and draw 4 cards for ourselves. So we'll be up to 9 cards next turn. We'll play down a land, and then that's 8. So we can just play out any one of the cards in our hand, and we should be fine. Alright, so let's go to our main phase here. Or rather, to Sleep Elemental's main phase. Again, there's still a chance they could have a 2-drop spell that we'd want to copy with the Expansion Explosion. Doesn't look like they do, so we're just going to go and see that Seattle Wayfinder coming down. And, yeah, I think we're going to go and use the Explosion on the Garruk. Although, do we just save it? Might be actually better to save it here. We are getting attacked for little bits of damage here and there. I don't know. I feel like drawing 4 cards will hopefully allow us to get back into the game. So they reveal the 4 cards, and then what happens to them? What do they do with those 4 cards? Do they put all of them into the graveyard? Is that what happens with this card? They put, looks like all 4 of them into the graveyard. Malfeld Twins. Because this only allows them to get lands, right? Yeah, they get to get lands, and none of those cards were lands. I think we should go for the explosion, the expansion explosion. Who we target, though, that's a big question, though. I'm not really sure. I'd like to get rid of the Garruk. I feel like that should be pretty easy for our opponents to take them out. If all these creatures attack the Garruk will be down anyways. Yeah, why don't we do this? Let's get rid of the Teysa Karlov. Man, this is a tough one, because I want to save this for a better opportunity, but I feel like the card draw is what's more important here. Let's go ahead and hit the Teysa Karlov. We'll choose ourselves to draw cards. So blue and blue. And then red, red, and then green. So we're going to deal 4 damage to draw 4 cards here and get rid of the commander at the same time. Alright, well, I guess that's one way to do it. Yeah, not the best use, but I think the drawing 4 cards should be pretty nice here. Should be pretty helpful for us. Yep, I'm hoping that works out in our favor here. We draw into a few cards, including an Urban Evolution, which I do like that card a lot. That should be pretty nice. We get to draw additional cards, play an additional land. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. We draw into yet another land here. We're going to go and start off with the Urban Evolution. So green and blue. And then from there, I think we're going to leave up as much red as we possibly can. So we'll tap up that forest. Play out the Urban Evolution. And this will allow us to play 2 lands this turn. And we'll see what we can find thanks to that. A lot of the cards in our hand have not really done us a whole lot of help in a situation like this. So we will just draw 3 cards and see what we can find. Right now, I feel like I'm just going to be discarding a bunch of lands, to be honest. We've got plenty of green mana out there. I think I want a little bit more blue mana, though. So we're probably going to be playing down the 2 snow-covered islands here. So snow-covered island, let me see. This is a 6-drop, 3 mana sorcery. If a source you control would deal damage this turn, it deals double that damage instead. Injury, it allows us to deal 2 damage to target creature and 2 damage to target player or planeswalker. So that's 6 mana total. We don't have enough mana for that. So why don't we just do this? We're going to play out the island, and let's go ahead and use the tormenting... Actually, you know, we could technically use the Cathartic Reunion, and then use the injury to deal 2 damage to a Garruk and 2 damage to... I guess... I don't even know what else we'd want to deal 2 damage to. Creature and 2 damage to target player or planeswalker. 2 damage to target creature. What do we choose? I guess the Gravecrawler is not too bad. Maybe the Wolf. Maybe we actually want to get rid of... No, you know what? The Shriek Maw seems pretty nice. Although that makes another 3... I mean, just the 3-powered thing, so it's not really be that helpful. Let's just go ahead and use the Cathartic Reunion here. So paying a red, paying a blue. We'll go ahead and discard this card, and we'll discard a forest as well. We have no use for the lands for right now. We've just gotten a little bit too many lands in this case. So we'll draw a couple of more cards. We drew into more lands, and a Pyromancer's Goggles as well. I think we're going to go ahead and use that Aftermath card. So yeah, let's use the Aftermath card. We've also got, what is this? Scour All Possibilities. I don't know how useful that's going to be for right now, but I think we can go ahead and use this. Choosing damage on, obviously none of these creatures, except for one of the wolves, potentially. Yeah, I think we're going to hit one of the wolves, and we're going to hit one of the Garruks. Yeah, we'll go ahead and hit the Garruk as well. Pay a red, 1, and 1. So we'll get to keep 2 of these lands here. I feel like getting the 2 tapped lands out of our hand should be pretty nice. We can keep the 2 untapped lands. That should be pretty cool for us, I think. Injury from the graveyard, and that should be pretty nice. We get rid of a couple of things here. As a result. Alright, so bye-bye old friend, says Sleep of the Mountain. Well, who, me? They might be talking about me, they might be talking about Garruk, though. So let me think about this here. Next turn, we can go for the Pyromancer's Goggles. And from there, we can go for Saheeli's Artistry. Are there any artifacts out there we actually want to copy? Technically, we could use the Pyromancer's Goggles and make a bunch of copies of that. Now, that sounds pretty cool. So we play this down. That means we want to have a total of 10 mana next turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're going to have 10 mana next turn. So I like the idea of going for the Saheeli's Artistry after we go for the Pyromancer's Goggles. Oh, I'm sorry. This only copies red spells, so it's not going to copy our Saheeli's Artistry. So in that case, we're probably just going to go for the Tormenting Voice instead. Although technically, what we could do is we could use the Saheeli's Artistry after so we get down another card. Yeah. So what we do is this: we go for we're going to have no blockers. What we decide to do is this: we play down a land, and then from there. We go for a Pyromancer's Goggles, Saheeli's Artistry, targeting the Pyromancer's Goggles, and targeting, I guess maybe, I don't know what we'd actually want to hit here. We're hoping that somebody has a better target for us to pick with the Saheeli's Artistry. So we get that down. Now we've got 2 Pyromancer's Goggles. From there, we go for Tormenting Voice. So we will get to copy it twice. So we will get to draw 6 cards off of losing 2 cards from the hand. We'll probably discard one of our lands because we don't need them, I think, that much. I do like the idea of going down for the forest next turn. Rhythm of the Wild is pretty cool. They get to give their non-token creatures haste. If they don't want to give them haste, they can at least give them the +1/+1, which is also okay. So let's see what Harlequin does here. They've got 3 cards in hand. All of our opponents are pretty low in cards in hand. 4 cards, 3 cards, 2 cards. I think that's one aspect of threat assessment that you won't see enough in paper. When it comes to paper games... people just don't really think of like, okay, how many cards do you have in hand? How many cards do you have in hand? How many cards? You know, like people don't really ask that. And I feel like that's one benefit of Magic Online. You can just kind of keep track of it all throughout the game. You don't have to keep asking it over and over. So I do feel like Magic Online, it does give you a little bit more ability to play the game without, certain restrictions. But then again, there are restrictions in other ways. So for example, you've got infinite combos. It's hard to not lose to the clock when you're getting an infinite combo. That takes a lot of time. Speaking of the clock, we're actually pretty high in the clock here. I haven't talked about the clock in a while. I think I've been playing more quickly for most of my games now. Alright, so Alesha is now going to come down. They can attack with it this turn, and I think they've got white and black mana, right? Yeah, they got white and black mana. They can get any of these creatures out from the graveyard. Maybe the even Mind Sensor could be pretty nice. They can even go for the Shriekmaw here. What else do they want to go for? Kinjali Sunwing, probably not a big deal. Fauna Shaman could be nice. Solemn Simulacrum at least gives them more ramp. Ankle Shanker too, but that's not going to trigger that ability. It's just going to be a hasty 2/2 on the battlefield. So is this something they can get back out? It's a 2-powered creature. Yeah, technically they could get back the Tendershoot Dryad. That's probably what they would want to go for here. Attacking with the Alesha, bringing back the Tendershoot Dryad, and then passing the turn. That could be pretty bad for us, honestly. And since they're putting it into the battlefield tapped and attacking, they might as well put the counter on it with the Rhythm of the Wild. So yeah, this could be pretty bad. Knight 6, yes. We'll say she is a threat. Tendershoot Dryad in the graveyard. We will say yes and say, look, the Tendershoot Dryad, that's about to come back. So they're going to go and mortify the creature here while they have the chance. Let's see, yeah, that's going to take out that creature. Whew. Phew. We'll say here, phew, thanks. And next turn, we are going to try to go for that Saheeli's Artistry. We'll see if there's a creature for us to copy. I mean, that Tendershoot Dryad coming down would have been one creature that we could have copied, but even then, I just don't want to see them have it out there, because they're going to get a lot more value out of it than we will, for sure. So I want to make sure that we get rid of this as quickly as we can. Alright, so from the first touch, I know exactly what the metal wants to be. Interesting flavor text. I kind of like it, though. Alright, running up the tab, says Knight 6. they're running up the tab of IOUs here. Let's see what happens from this point. We're going to have that mana that we can go for the Pyromancer's Goggles. Oh, I'm sorry, this is a legendary artifact, so there's no reason for us to copy with the Saheeli's Artistry. Alright, so change of plans here. What do we want to do instead? Maybe going for that Venser's Journal could be pretty nice. I could see us going for that one instead. Yeah, I don't think there's much else that we would want to do, though. They're going to swing all of these creatures over at Harlequin. Let's see if they decide to change some of these attacks in a different way. They've got one Saproling that they can block with. Looks like they're not going to attack with their commander. They're going to leave that up for defense. No, I'm sorry. They're going to attack us with the commander. And it looks like they might be attacking with the Shriekmaw over at Knight. Yeah, it looks like that's what they're doing. And they're going to attack with all the Wolves and the Satyr Wayfinder over at Harlequin. Okay, so this is not too bad. We will take 4 commander damage going down to 28. But that we're still not at the lowest life total. And I guess Sleep Elemental being at the highest life total is not going to be too bad for us. We played against Sek'kuar, I think, one time before on the channel, and it wasn't really too scary, so I'm excited this should be fine. Should have done some politics prior to that hit, said Knight 6. Yeah, this is fine for us. I mean, if people are starting to attack each other as revenge, that also works out pretty well for us, pretty well in our favor. Do we decide to go Pyromancer's Goggles into Tormenting Voice, knowing that that would prevent us from being able to use the Saheeli's Artistry? Because we'll only have 5 mana left over after that. You know what? I kind of like the idea. We'll get to draw 4 cards, and based on that, we could find some other great cards to play out. If not, we'll just draw into more lands that we can discard. So that's, you know, it's a win-win in my book. We're down to 28, 4 commander damage. Just 9 life higher than the lowest life total, and about 4 life lower than the life total above us. So, you know, in terms of life total, not great, not bad, but we'll try to manage this pretty well. Once I see like a 2 there, I start getting worried. That's basically how it works. If I'm at 29 life or lower, I start getting worried. I don't know why my brain's like that. I just start worrying at seeing a 2 there. All right, Gravebreaker Lamia. They're going to be able to search their library for a card, put it into their graveyard, then shuffle their library. What card would they want to put into their graveyard? Maybe an Anger? I mean, they're also playing a red deck, so I'm assuming that's what they want to put into their graveyard here. Lifelink 4/4. It also allows things to be cast from the graveyard for 1 mana less. Maybe it's going to be a creature card that they can cast from their graveyard. Yeah, it's any card. They could even find something with flashback as well. So let's see what they decide to put into their graveyard here. A lot of options. You know, in Jund, you've got a lot of things that want to be in a graveyard. So we'll just have to wait and see. There's not really a great way for me to anticipate what's going to be happening here. If that Sek'kuar dies, And then, then a board wipe would be pretty helpful. Otherwise, we're going to see like a board wipe just allow them to keep basically the same amount of power on the board. So let's see what they decide to hit here. I still think we're going to go for the Pyromancer's Goggles on the Tormenting Voice. We'll see if that's going to be helpful for us. But I think that's what we'll go for here. Grave Breaker Lamy. I keep wanting to say Grave Baker. I don't know why I keep wanting to say that. Grave Baker is very much a different Magic card. It's going to be baking some gravy. They're going to put the Icarid in the graveyard. So if it's... You may exile a black creature card other than Icarid if you do return it to the battlefield. 3/1 with haste. At the end step, sacrifice it. Alright, so that's going to be a way for their commander to get triggered over and over. So let's see what we can find on our turn. Technically, we can go for the Bloodfire Colossus. So... do we decide to go for that, though? We draw into a land, which, of course, is not any different than what we were anticipating. Do we want to go for the Bloodfire Colossus here? You know what? I kind of feel like this is okay. You know? Like, this is fine. Technically, we can get them the Bloodfire Colossus and just leave it up as a way for us to do something. But I feel like, let's get a little bit of value while we have the chance here. So we're going to tap out some of the green mana since we don't really need that as much. And then we'll go 1 red and 1 blue. Go for the Pyromancer's Goggles here. And from here, we're going to go for that Tormenting Voice. See what else we can use with that. What do we want to discard, though? That's a great question. Probably just the basic island here. We don't really need that all that much in this deck. We've got so many lands as it is. Like, we'll just get rid of that. So let's go and go for the Tormenting Voice using a... oops. Actually, no, this works out pretty well, I think. Yeah, let's tap one of the mountains and the Pyromancer's Goggles. So we'll use that mana on the Tormenting Voice. Discard a card. We're going to discard the basic island. And we will go ahead and copy the Tormenting Voice. We're going to draw 4 cards here. We're hoping that one of our cards that we draw into will be something we can cast here for 5 mana. I think we've already played on a land. We played on the forest for our turn. So we draw into an Evolution Charm and a Scab Clan Berserker. It's got haste. I don't think we'll be using it to attack anybody, though. Let's see what we can use. We can use the Evolution Charm. Ooh, check this out. Unexpected Result and the Rurik Thar. I like the unexpected results here. Let's go ahead and go for that. And then if we need to, if we get a land, then we can just use like the Evolution Charm or something. Alright, so we're going to go blue, blue, red, and then green for that. Alright, so this should be pretty nice. Let's see what we find here. If we have to discard something, I don't mind discarding the land. I don't think it's going to be too helpful for us. The Evolution Charm, though, I do like going for this one. Balefire Dragon. We are going to go ahead and cast that one. It's a way for us to eventually get rid of this board state as well. So, for right now, it's just going to be a blocker for us. And we'll just be able to keep that out there for us to use. Saheeli's Artistry, targeting it would also be pretty nice as well. So, yeah, I think this is pretty nice. I think we'll just yield until our next draw step. We don't have any cards we want to cast for 1 mana, instant speed from our hand. So, we'll just go ahead and pass like this. We're going to have next turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 mana on our next turn. So with 13 mana, we could get down like a Rurik Thar or something. That could be pretty nice. Start making our opponents lose life from casting non-creature spells. And then we can just hold up the Evolution Charm for when we need to go for something else instead. I do like the idea of using the Balefire Dragon to take out this board state. Would be pretty nice to do while we have the chance. We'll see if we can... can we assume you will reset the board, says Knight 6. I will... So technically, I can only do it for 1 person. Only do it for 1 person. So that would be for Sleep Elemental. Probably Sleep. Actually, I'm not going to say who I'm going to do it, because it depends also who gets out a scary board state. Because this is only dealing damage to one player's creatures. So we'll see if Knight 6 still decides to get rid of the Balefire Dragon here at this point. I think after this, what we can do is, well, hold on a second. We can actually use the Chandra's Ignition to blow up every other creature, and then from there attack Sleep Elemental and destroy those tokens that were created as a result as well. Not too bad. I think that sounds actually pretty good. Yes, the person will with all of the stuff on board. Exactly. And we will say exactly, so we will say that, that person it's not necessarily one person. You know what I mean? Like, it's a person with all the stuff on the board. Could be different. Could be. Knight 6 says, then the dragon is safe. All right, sweet. So we're going to be able to use the Chandra's Ignition on our creature. I'm assuming they don't have any instant speed ways to deal with it. Otherwise, they'd probably just use it instant speed. So they're going to go for the Priest of Forgotten Gods. So they don't have a way to give it haste yet. So they're not going to be able to sacrifice those 2 creatures here to make players lose life. Yeah, and even if they did give it haste, I mean, we would lose our dragon anyways. So if they've got a way to give it haste, I mean, that it is what it is. We don't really have any ways to deal with that. So they've got plenty of mana held up. I'm hoping that they don't have any more instant speed interaction. They've already used a couple of cards like Mortify, and they've used this Never, which I guess that's technically a sorcery. So let's see if they decide to have any instant speed interaction. So they might also be put into a kind of a weird situation where the Chandra's Ignition could allow them to see the board state, you know, gone. But at the same time, they might not be interested in getting rid of... This is an interesting dilemma here. We could technically play out the Rurik Thar and then Chandra's Ignition that. The downside is it actually kills the Balefire Dragon, so I guess that's not a good idea. Saskia the Unyielding coming down for Harlequin. It can't be countered because of the Rhythm of the Wild, but we're not playing counter spells in this deck anyway, so not going to be a big deal for us. So who do they decide to choose? Looks like they're deciding which player to pick. The chosen player is Sleep Elemental. Okay, so now whenever one of their creatures will deal damage to Sleep Elemental, this will also get to be a little bit more damage on top of that. So what else do they have in mind here? What else do they decide to go for? They're going to go for the Grim Haruspex. So this is whenever one of their non-token creatures will die, they'll be able to draw a card. Technically, their commander is probably not going to die. Their Saproling is a token, and Grim Haruspex does not count itself. So really, if we do go for that board wipe, it's only going to get them 1 card drawn off of the Birds of Paradise dying. So I guess that's not too bad for us either. Let's see if they decide to attack with pretty much everything over at Sleep Elemental. Let's see if that's what they decide to go for here. Yeah, they're going to put a counter on it, so not going to give it haste. Instead, though, they can attack with their commander for damage, which technically Sleep Elemental can chump block with their creature they already have out. I probably would do that if I were them. The Saproling attacking will only deal them like 2 damage, so that's not even that much anyways. Yeah, if that Grim Haruspex were on the battlefield instead with the haste, this could have been a little bit more of an interesting choice. They're going to attack actually over at Knight 6, who doesn't have any great ways to block this Saskia, but that's going to allow them to deal 4 damage to Sleep Elemental as a result. So, you know, honestly, this doesn't seem too bad here. I think this should be pretty nice for us. We can go for the Chandra's Ignition, get rid of the board state, go for the Balefire Dragon and get rid of this board state while we attack with the Scab Clan Berserker. So, although I don't know if this is actually worth it in this situation, it might be better to do something else instead. Technically, what we could do is use the Saheeli's Artistry to make a copy of any creature that's on the battlefield. What creature would I want to copy? I do kind of like the Saskia, though. That is kind of cool. That does seem pretty nice. Grim Haruspex doesn't seem as big of a deal. Icarid's going to go ahead and get returned to the battlefield. They're going to exile a black card from their graveyard. That's going to allow them to create a token with their commander. But again, we've got the Balefire Dragon combined with the Chandra's Ignition. That should make it, hopefully, pretty easy for us to take them out with their board state. They've only got 2 cards in hand, so it's going to be pretty tough for them to rebuild as well. Right now, all of our opponents are down to 2 or 3 cards in hand, so I think we should be fine there too. Chandra's Ignition is an interesting card because we can actually use it on the Balefire Dragon. They're going to go ahead and make each player sacrifice a creature, so our Balefire Dragon is going to be gone now. The benefit here, though, is we can still get down our Rurik Thar, and so that should be okay. Let's see what happens from this point. Making everybody discard a card is also not too great for us, but I think we're just going to discard the island. We might need the mana, though. Do we need the mana? I don't think we do. Yeah, let's just discard the land. I think I need to keep all of the non-lands in the hand because we've been just so behind in terms of being able to play stuff out, and we've got so much mana as it is. I think it's better just to discard the land here. We will lose 1 life going down to 26, sacrificing the creature. They'll also have to sacrifice a land here. I think we'll sacrifice our basic forest. Actually, well, let's sacrifice one of the mountains. I think that's going to be a little bit better here. I know we're playing a lot of red cards, especially in our hand. We've got a lot of red cards. Sacrifice the creature. Yep, we only got one creature to sacrifice. Man, this is tough. We got a lot of black cards or red cards in hand. You know, let's go for that forest sacrifice instead. I think that should be better for us. Yeah, sacrifice the forest. Alright, well, yeah, that smallpox did do a lot here. It made us lose a creature, lose a lane, and lose a card from our hand. The life loss doesn't really matter all that much, so it's really like, you know, doing 3 things for us here. Yep, this is okay for us. They're going to go ahead and trigger the Grim Haruspex off of their Bird of Paradise dying, so they're going to go up to 2 cards in hand. We'll also get to see the Sleep Elemental creating a 3/1 with haste. I don't think I've seen this token in a while, so I'm kind of curious to see what it looks like. The Graveborn token with haste. Be interested to see what that looks like. There it is, Graveborn. Whoa, that is really strange. Looks like kind of like a, I don't even know what this looks like. That's very strange. I don't even know why they keep Graveborn as a creature type anyways. Yeah, because it just feels like they could just make this zombies and call it a day, or they can make this, like, ogre. I mean, if they really wanted to, it kind of looks like an ogre zombie to me. I don't know. We'll see what they decide to go for. It is a pretty old card. Oh, you know what? Actually, it looks like orcs. That's what it looks like. It looks like orc zombies. It feels like that's what it should be. Well, that went out the window, says Knight 6. Yep. Unfortunately, that is definitely the case here. So they're going to attack with all of these creatures over at Harlequin. So it looks like they're going to decide to switch around some of these attacks instead. So they might be attacking us here for another 4 damage, putting us down to 23. Yeah, this Graveborn deck is kind of doing a lot of damage to us. They're going to attack us for 4. Everything else looks like it's heading over to Harlequin, not attacking over at Knight 6 for any reason. They've got the most life though, so I'd be surprised that they're not going to get hit here. Next turn, so Sleep Elemental has nothing that they can cast. Knight 6 has 1 card in hand that they can cast. They discarded a land here. They've got 1 card in hand. Yeah, you know what? I mean, with the Rurik Thar, technically they could get that out there. Let's see if... hold on a second. We can go for the Bloodfire Colossus. And... you know, it's not great, but we can technically get rid of the board state in its current position by going for that sacrifice ability after. Like, we need to have 5 red mana, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 6 red mana. This is going to cost a total of 8 plus 1, that's 9, plus 5, that's 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We are 3 mana away from doing that, so... probably not going to be the thing we're going to go for here. Instead, how much mana do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, instead, I think what I'm going to go for is going to go for the Rurik Thar and then target it with the Chandra's Ignition. If they've got a way to deal damage to our Rurik Thar to kill it or like exile it or something, I mean, that's going to be the case. Like, that's all we can do. So let's see what Harlequin decides to go for here. They're going to go ahead and block a couple of cards. They're down to 5 life, so our Chandra's Ignition will actually kill them here. Unfortunately, because I would love to see that Saskia be able to take out more from Sleep Elemental, but we've got to get rid of their board state. We really can't afford to let this continue on for much longer. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. They're going to sacrifice the Icarid, creating another Graveborn token, which means that when we do go for the first Chandra's Ignition, they're only going to have 1/3/1 anyways. Yeah, I think this is fine for us. We've got a Mind's Desire as well. Let me see here. Evolution Charm. We could technically go... I don't think this is worth it. I think we just need to play it safe. Gonna go for our Rurik Thar into the Chandra's Ignition play. So we're gonna go ahead and cast this out there. We want to leave up as much red mana as we can. So 2 more here. And we'll get down the Rurik Thar for us. I mean, they probably aren't interested in getting rid of the Rurik Thar anyways. Sure, they would lose their Priest of Forgotten Gods, but it's probably better to save this and like... yeah, I feel like this is going to be better. Technically, they can do something about it, but I think it's going to be really much more worth it. This is my only shot at a board wipe. So we're going to try our very best here. We will get dealt 6 damage from the Rurik Thar itself, but at least we get rid of the Boar's Fate, and we don't have to worry about that too much either. It will deal 12 damage to Knight. They will create a 3-1 here, so the Harlequin is now out of the game, and Sek'kuar will take 12 damage. They're down to 40 now, so they'll take another 6 damage and go down to 34. Not the greatest, but at least we get that down, and we can kind of get back into this game a little bit more easily. And yeah, we'll take the 6 damage, going down to 17. Then we'll deal 6 damage to our opponents and to this last Graveborn. So hopefully this will allow us to, stick around into this game now that we've got this out there. So next turn, what do I want to do? I feel like going for that Scab Clan Berserker should be pretty nice. Knight 6 was very, very surprised with what we actually did here in this game. So that took out 1 player. We also got rid of this board state, which is pretty nice. And we might have stabilized here at 17. Thankfully, we've got a reach creature that also has vigilance. I feel like vigilance and reach are also pretty useful without being like super threatening on this creature. Alright, so now the... I'm sorry, that's the wrong card. The Westvale Abbey will create a 1/1 human cleric. So if they want to attack us for that 1 damage, that's an option. I do like the idea of copying the Venser's Journal with the Saheeli's Artistry, just because at this moment, Saheeli's Artistry is something that will allow us to gain life if we target the Venser's Journal. We can start gaining some life every upkeep. That'd be pretty nice for me, honestly. Evolution Charm, we can return a creature card from our graveyard to the hand. I think here the creature card I want to bring back, maybe the Apex Altasaur. Not a whole lot of creatures, honestly, in this graveyard that we want to get back. Let's keep looking. What else do we have here in the graveyard? Technically, we could get back the Balefire Dragon, but even then, I don't think that's very helpful in this situation like this. What else can this do? Target creature gains flying. I guess that's kind of helpful, but for right now, we're just going to hold on to that until we... like, for example, the Rurik Thar getting that back might actually be more helpful for us. Teysa Karlov going to go ahead and come down, so now they can, have life-linking tokens. Probably not attacking us since we've got a pretty great blocker here. But from our turn... Right now, I feel like Knight 6 is kind of the biggest threat at the table. They've got a, moderately sized life total, and they've got the Westvale Abbey that they can sacrifice a couple of creatures to make their board state into a little bit more of a threat. So yeah, I'm kind of thinking that they're the ones that I want to attack with the Rurik Thar. Let's see if they decide to bring back the Icarid. Depends if they can cast their commander here, and this is their first time their commander has died, so they could. Have 1 mana left over. I'm sorry, 2 mana left over if they recast their commander here. So let's see if they decide to go for that. Going for the recast on their commander and then play the Icarid and sacrifice it. And yeah, it looks like they decided to bring the Icarid back by exiling another black creature from the graveyard. From our turn, next turn, we could go for... Let me see what else we've gotten here. What other creatures? We don't have any like small creatures in this graveyard, unfortunately. Yeah, most of these are like, instants and sorceries. We lost that Reap, which would have been pretty nice. We could return like any other cards from our graveyard. And there are some black permanents out there, so that would have been pretty helpful as well. Other than that, though, I just don't see us being able to bring back anything of much use. They're going to go ahead and play out their Sek'kuar. I'm sure that, I guess this must have died another time, because they should have had 2 mana left over. But it looks like it died twice here, and I just miscounted. They're going to go ahead. What are they tapping this for? They got some kind of Convoke spell or something? What is this? What's a Convoke spell that costs only 2 mana? I can't even think of one. I don't know what this is here. Maybe they've got... I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. Oh, they're going for Hogak. Oh, okay. All right, so Hogak's going to come onto the battlefield. That's an 8/8. That is definitely a lot of power. So from here, what we could do is... Yeah, I still think we're going to attack Knight 6. I mean, it has Vigilance anyway, so we might as well attack while we have the chance. Icarid's going to go ahead and die. That's going to make the a 3/1 here with haste. So, Hogak. Yeah, this seems pretty bad for us. Because they can cast that from their graveyard, too, on top of that. Kira Behemoth Beckoner. Not too bad. We don't have any ways to use the untap ability on our Pyromancer's Goggles to much use. But you know what? I kind of like the ability to draw cards off of big creatures entering the battlefield. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and play this out. We'll go ahead and play out the Bloodfire Colossus. Then we can use that -1 to untap a mountain. And that way we can hold up the Bloodfire Colossus in case we need to go for that too. Yeah, I think that should be pretty nice here. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Scab Clan Berserker, though. I mean, there's not really a way for us to get in without it being blocked, though. So I guess that's probably not that great of an idea. I like the life gain. You know what? Why don't we do this? Let's copy the Hogak. You know what? I like that idea a lot. Let's go for that. And we can get down the Kira's Beckoner first, Behemoth Beckoner first. That way we can also draw a card. That does make us lose 12 life, putting us down to 5. But at least we get down the Venser's Journal, so that allows us to do some more cool stuff. You know what? Why don't we do this? Let's attack with the Rurik Thar over at Sleep Elemental. If they decide to take it, great. That's good for us. If they don't, if they decide to block with the Hogak, also fine. We're totally okay with that too. Yeah, let's go and go for that and see how they block to decide on the rest of our turn here. Because we can go for that Bloodfire Colossus to blow up the board. That should be pretty nice as well. So we're going to go ahead and attack Sleep Elemental with our Rurik Thar. See what we can do here. Again, if they decide to eat up our Rurik Thar with the Hogak, that's fine with us too. So let's see if that's what they actually have ready to go for. It's nice that it's got Vigilance, so that if they decide to just take it, oh, okay, so they're going to eat it. That's the best possibility here. So we are in a great position now. So what we can do now is copy the Hogak and have that up available as a creature that we can use. Yep. All right, so we're going to swing into that, and now the Bloodfire Colossus can be used to take that out. Yeah, so we're going to go and get down the Kira Behemoth Beckoner, untap a mountain, and then Bloodfire Colossus, and blow up the board. I think that should be pretty nice here. So we're going to go and get that down. So we will use blue, green, blue, and I guess another... Well, I guess that's everything we need to use. So here we're going to go ahead and tap... Ooh, D-Many has sent me a message. That's one of my patrons. I'll definitely take a look at that message afterwards. All right, so we're going to go ahead and minus this... island. Yeah, let's untap an island here. Untap the island. And then we'll go for the Bloodfire Colossus. Bloodfire Colossus, 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll make sure to use this red here. 1, 2, 3. And then one more from the Highland Weald. And from here, we're going to draw a card off of the Kira's Behemoth Beckoner. But then we'll also get to sacrifice it right away to get rid of the board state, which will be pretty nice for us. We get rid of that Hogak. Don't have to worry about that for a while. We'll always yield to this ability to draw cards whenever we get big creatures out on the battlefield. One of the nice things about us is we can use that. We can actually play out a land here too. I like going for the woodlands, wooded foothills rather. We're gonna go and use this and find. Let's see what we can find here. I think it was important that we went for that Kira untap just in case we didn't find a land there. Make sure that Knight 6 could not actually deal damage to Kira to kill it in response. That would shut off our ability to use the Bloodfire Colossus to our advantage. We're going to go ahead and pay a red and sacrifice it now in order to kill the Hogak. So they do have to get down 2 more creatures again. They don't have a way to get out their commander, so that's going to be probably their this creature and... like this Graveborn creature and the Icarid coming out from the graveyard. They're going to run out of creatures in the graveyard eventually, though. So that should work out pretty well for us. And even then, if they decide to get out Hogak, then our Kiora gets to survive a little bit longer. Whereas with Icarid, I believe this is 2 power, right? It has 3 power, so technically they could get it out with haste and take Kiora out. That prevents us from taking that damage, though, so I'm totally happy with that, too. Otherwise, I think on our next turn, we're going to use the Saheeli's Artistry. If they get down the Hogak, great chance for us to use the Saheeli's Artistry. We can use it on that, copying the Venser's Journal as well, so that should be pretty nice also. As for Evolution Charm, I guess technically we could get the Bloodfire Colossus back in case we need to go for that. But even then, that's dealing damage to us as well, so probably not going to be our best option here. Alright, Sorin Vengeful Bloodlord. Creatures and planeswalkers you control have, have lifelink. So they can deal damage to a player or planeswalker. They can deal it, that +2 damage to our Kiora. Interesting. They can go for that -6 as well to return a 4/4 from the up to a 4-powered or 4 CMC creature from the graveyard. I feel like the Blood Artist should be pretty nice for them. That's a way for them to win the game. We're at the lowest life total here, so we do need to gain some life. I think no matter what, we are going to go for the copy of the Venser's Journal next turn while we still have that chance. I do like also going for the Mind's Desire. I know technically it's a pretty high likelihood that we whiff with it if we don't get to cast a bunch of cheaper creatures or cheaper cards right before it. But I think we need to get that life gain from the Venser's Journal while we have the chance. They went ahead and went for that +2 to deal 1 damage to Sleep Elemental. Okay, so that's putting them down to 26 here. Let's see what else they've got up their sleeves. They can get their commander out one more time. They might be casting out something from their hand, though. Let's see what they decide to go for here. What is it? They've got a return, so they're going to exile a card from a graveyard. Did they exile the Icarid? It looks like they decided to exile the Hogak. Okay, so that's not too bad either. Icarid's probably going to come down onto the battlefield and attack our Kiora and get rid of that off the battlefield. But again, that's fine with us. They could even get rid of the Sorin here if they want to get rid of their ability to bring back like a bigger creature from the graveyard. Let's see exactly what they decide to go for from this position. We've got a lot of options. I think the worst possible option is if they decide, okay, get out the Icarid, attack you for 6, because then that really limits our ability to respond to stuff on the board. So, you know, maybe not the best idea for us. Next turn, I feel like Saheeli's Artistry is gonna have to be part of the equation. Like, that's gonna have to be part of it. We really can't afford to not gain some life by copying the Venser's Journal. I think we have to. That's really our only option. After that, though, the question will be if we actually want to cast a second spell, or if we've got something else we want to do instead. We'll see. We'll see exactly how this plays out. Temple of Abandon, they're going to get to scry one here. Okay, that's kind of cool. I don't even know what I'd want to copy with Saheeli's Artistry. Let's see if they manage to get out a big creature here, and I don't think they will. They're gonna attack both these cards. Yeah, both of them at us. That was the worst thing that we could have seen there. We'll take it and go down to 4. We don't have any other options right now, and that limits our ability to use the Evolution Charm to use the Bloodfire Colossus as a way to survive. Yep. I think what we want to do here is we go for the Scab Clan Berserker. They're going to play the Sanitarium Skeleton from their hand, okay? I don't think it's worth it copying that one. I think what we'll do here, check this out, we'll play out the Scab Clan Berserker, Saheeli's Artistry copying it, and the Venser's Journal. Then we can attack with the Scab Clan Berserker and deal some damage. So technically they can block with the Sanitarium on one of them, but not on both of them. And even then, we'd probably... Gutter Snipe? Gutter Snipe, eh? We can copy that instead. No, I feel like opponents aren't really casting anything. We are, so let's just go for the Gutter Snipe instead of that Scab Clan Berserker. So we'll go ahead and get down the Gutter Snipe here. Go for the Gutter Snipe, red, and let's go for... we don't need the green right now. We're not using the Evolution Charm for at this moment, so we'll just get that down. Then we'll go for the Saheeli's Artistry, copying the Venser's Journal and our Gutter Snipe. Not too bad, I think. We get to keep both of those up as blockers as well, which is pretty cool. Not that they can attack anyways, because they don't have haste, unlike the Scab Clan Berserker. So we'll probably get a better chance for this one later on, but for right now, we'll just use it this way. Sleep Elemental said that was something. That was a couple of minutes ago. I think they were referring to the Bloodfire Colossus. I mean, we're down pretty low in life total here. I think we're probably going to be using our Gutter Snipes as, like, jump blockers. Because there's not much else we can do instead. Let's go ahead and go for the Saheeli's Artistry. Choosing both. So we're going to copy the Venser's Journal. And copy the Gutter Snipe, right? Yeah, copy the Gutter Snipe here. Paying 6 mana. So we're going to go ahead and use some of this mana here. We'll use that mana as well. We've got all of our, all of our mana that we might want to respond to stuff with available. We can also use the Evolution Charm to trigger both of our Gutter Snipes. I guess that's kind of cool, but we might not go for that here. I don't think that's going to be super helpful for us. Because we want to use it to return a creature card, but we don't really have a good creature card to return. So let me think about this here. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Let me see what options I've got. Not a whole lot of good ones. I mean, Apex Altisaur is pretty good. We can use that, after we decide to block some stuff. We can go for that to deal 4 damage to each opponent and, maybe work from there. Other than that, though, I do like the idea of going for both these cards and then the Mind's Desire, just to hopefully get additional storm count for the Mind's Desire. Should be pretty nice. Also, gaining 3 life from the Venser's Journal is also not too bad, so maybe that's what we do instead. We'll see this through. We'll see how this works out for us. The more card draw we get, the better, I think. So maybe even next turn we just get then our commander down. That could also be another option. I think it was important that we get down the Venser's Journal this turn, and we didn't have enough mana for our commander and the Venser's Journal. That would have been like, what would have been? It would have been 6 plus 6, so that's 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So technically, yeah, we did have it, but we would not have had a good target for the Saheeli's Artistry. Although we would have kept more cards in hand, maybe that would have been better. I don't know. It just feels like if you kind of diversify your board state, it just makes it a lot harder to attack. They're going to attack with that 2/2 over at Sleep Elemental. Let's see if they decide to chump block. I would assume not. But that will allow Knight 6 to gain some life off of the Sorin Vengeful Blood Lord's static ability here. So yeah, pretty good game so far. For right now, I think this has been kind of a crazy back and forth game. Can we manage to pull it off? I mean, we were at 4 life, so it's going to be tough. It's going to be an uphill battle for sure. We'll definitely try our best. If Sleep Elemental decides to attack with both of these creatures, and even the Icarid, we'll take the 1 damage and block the 2 3-powered creatures. And then probably use the Evolution Charm on something. I mean, technically we can even use it to give one of our Gutter Snipes flying in case they get a flying creature out there they want to attack with, like Flying Haste or something. We can even block even in spite of that. So we'll see how this works out for us on our next turn. This has been kind of crazy, I'll be honest. I mean, we haven't done a whole lot of stuff this game. But at the same time, we've been surviving. And we've been hanging on by a thread at this point. Ooh, Damnation. This one's okay for us. We can go for the Evolution Charm in response to deal 4 damage to each opponent. It prevents us from gaining 1 life on our next turn. Also prevents us from using the Mind's Desire. I think this is better this way. Allow the Gutter Snipes to go away. That's fine. We keep the Venser's Journal, which is really more important for us. So, they're going to return a creature card with converted mana cost. It looks like 3 here. What do they have instead? They're going to go for the Sanitarium Skeleton, returning that to their hand. So not going to be able to attack next turn anyways. Let's see what they decide to go for. So returning that that card from their hand. What card is it? It's going to be their Kunoros. So it's a vampire getting put from the graveyard onto the battlefield. So now creature cards can't enter the battlefield from the graveyard. So that should be pretty nice. Icarid cannot be returned to the battlefield. That will work out pretty well for us as well. So it's also going to prevent us from casting that card we had in the graveyard here. It's the Scour All Possibilities. But really, in honesty, we weren't using it anyway, so not going to be a big deal. I couldn't have gone for it in response, could I? No, I can't. Yeah. Even if I had used that untap from the Cura, still not a possibility, so we're okay from there. Brutal Expulsion is not a card you see a lot of times in Commander, but I think this is pretty good in this deck. They're going to go for Glory. So this is actually pretty bad for us. They can give protection from whatever color we've got on the battlefield to deal more damage and kill us while we're still out here. So I think what we're going to have to do is we might need to go for that Evolution Charm. And that's going to put us down to 1 life here to blow up this board state. Icarid, yes, can try to come back, but the Kunoros is going to stop it. Oh, man, this is going to be tough. I don't think we can find a way to win here because we're going to be at 1 life. 1 life is very easy for our opponents to take out, especially if we get rid of the Kunoros. Suddenly, Icarid can come back. I mean, this is going to be pretty bad for us. Oh, man. What we could do, actually... Oh, but you know what? They would be able to respond with the pro-red. Yeah, there's not really a way for us to do that here. Yeah, we've got to go for it main phase. I was thinking maybe we can hold up the ability from the... Balefire Colossus, but that's not going to work either. Yep, okay. Alright, well, we're going to do our best here. Balefire Colossus, we don't have a way to give haste. Sanitarium Skeleton, that's fine too. Yeah, I think we're just going to have to go for that Bloodfire Colossus. We can't use the Evolution Charm right now, otherwise we would lose the game. We need to gain that life from the Venser's Journal first. Yeah, we've got to gain that life first. Go up to 7, and then go for the Bloodfire Colossus, putting us down to 1, and our opponents not even that low themselves. So, you know, man, they could use that +2 on the Soren. We'd be dead if they did that. So I think what we've got to do instead, we've got to do something else. We really got to figure out something else to do here. We're going to gain 3 life, go up to 7. You know what? There's also the option that we can find another way to win here. Technically, we can go for all the cards in our hand. This actually might work. We can go for all the cards in our hand and hope that Mind's Desire gets us what we need. It is playing to our outs. It allows us to do something. Riku of 2 Reflections. Riku of 2 Reflections, eh? We could use this. And let me think about this. Hold on a second. Riku of 2 Reflections. We get that down. We go for the Evolution Charm. We could double it. We could get out the Gutter Snipe and the Rurik Thar from our graveyard with the Evolution Charm. Play out the... Hold on a second. No, this is not going to work. I think what we want to do instead is... We probably want to go... Let me see here. We had 12 mana when I last counted. We can go for 13 with the Kiora. 13 mana. That's going to be enough for us to go for the Evolution Charm and the Mind's Desire and the Riku of 2 Reflections. Or, you know what? We can go Mind's Desire, copying it by the Riku of 2 Reflections. And that way we get to keep a little bit more cards in hand. I kind of like that. I mean, yes, this Glory does get to kill us, though. Whereas if we go for these 2 cards and then the Mind's Desire, we get more cards that way. No, actually, technically it's the same amount. But we'd have to use the Evolution Charm right now. And we get to gain less life on our next turn. You know, I think it's better to do it this way. We'll go for the Riku of 2 Reflections. 1 red and green. Then we'll tap out. Looks like we don't need the green so much, and the red not so much either. We'll get down the Riku of 2 Reflections. And then we will go for the Mind's Desire and copy it with the Riku of 2 Reflections as well. Let me see if I have enough mana. I want to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we need to use the Kiora to untap something. We're going to untap our... Let me see here. We need blue, blue, and then blue, red. So we want to untap a blue source. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and leave a blue source and a red source as much as possible for the copy from our Riku of 2 Reflections. And we're going to have to hope here that with these 3 Mind Desires, we hope to get something that allows us to be okay. So let's see what we can find. We're going to put the Mind's Desire here on the stack. We've got the Riku of 2 Reflections. We're going to always yield to this and always yield to that one as well. Yep, we're going to do our best. We're going to pay a red here and a blue here. And we will say yes for the Riku of 2 Reflections ability. So we've got 3 Mind's Desire. Let's see if we can find something that allows us to survive. Ooh, check this out. We can go for the Tidespout Tyrant. We're going to cast this one. And until end of turn, you may play that card. Alright, so we can order it however we would like. Alright, so this is pretty sweet. We can return the Glory to the hand. We've also got a Preordain, which is not too bad. And then we've got... What else can we find here with the Mind's Desire? We've got a Combustible Gearhulk. Okay. Alright, so... Let's go for the Tidespout Tyrant first. Cast that one. At least if we can get rid of both of these creatures, we can target permanent, actually. We can return the Soren to the hand as well. We're going to go ahead and have Riku of 2 Reflections hit the battlefield. We're not going to be able to use it, but at least we'll get to draw a card off of the Kiora Behemoth Beckoner. So we draw into a Deglammer, which is also not too bad. We can use that to shuffle away the Venser's Journal or something. I guess it's not too great here in this situation, but we'll find something else. We're going to say no for the Riku of 2 Reflections ability. We'll go ahead and play the Combustible... Actually, let's do this. Let's go ahead and go for the Combustible Gearhulk, casting that one first. And then we can return... I say let's return the Glory, because... Well, I guess they could just recast it. Yeah, let's get rid of the 2 creatures that can attack us unblockably. The other stuff, we really can do other stuff there, but Combustible Gearhulk, let's go ahead and put it down to the battlefield. I mean, most of our opponents also have 0 cards in hand, so I'm not even sure who to pick. So we're going to allow this to resolve. Combustible Gear Hulk. Who do we choose? I think we're going to choose the player that can gain life, because for right now, we want to make sure that we're taking them out of the game as quickly as possible. We'll go ahead and put some of these things onto the stack. Yep, this is fine. Yep, this is okay. So scrying 2 and then getting to draw cards is also pretty nice. We're going to leave... Actually, hold on. Check this out. We're going to hold control, choose Knight, and then we're going to play the Preordain here. Oh, that's a sorcery. Never mind. Yeah, I probably should have gone for this a little bit differently. Probably have gone for the Scry 2 first, so that we could have put some of those good cards on top. But even then, it's only if we had exactly 2 good cards to have. So probably the Preordain wouldn't even mattered. Let's go ahead and get the Combustible Gear Hulk down and try to get Knight 6's life total a little bit lower. They might allow us to draw cards, which is good for us because that would allow us to gain more life from the Venser's Journal here. Let's see if we actually can go for that. So far, I think this has been a pretty good turn. They're going to lose the life going down to 9. So that does make it pretty easy for us to take them out. We're going to get to draw another card with our Kiora. We draw into a land. Okay, I think we can play that down this turn too. We will say no for the Riku of 2 Reflections ability. We'll play down the Forest. And then, we can't activate the Kiora. We've already activated it this turn. We're going to go for the Preordain. And we're going to go ahead and cast that one. So that will trigger the Riku of 2 Reflections. We've got the Teysa Karlov. We're going to return the Kunoros because, again, we can't block it when they get down their glory down next turn. So we might as well go for it this way where we, if they can get glory down, that's fine, but we'll at least be ready to deal with that. We won't have to worry about losing because they can just play it down, activate it on red and blue, and then attack with Kunoros to deal 3 damage to us. And that'd be bad. We'd be pretty much defenseless against something like that. So we want to make sure that we get rid of all the creatures from Knight 6's board here. Then we'll get to draw a card after scrying 2. So we don't need the Cultivate. We can put that on the bottom. The Cerebral Vortex, though. I guess technically this is okay. We can use this in combination with our Pyromancer's Goggles to potentially take out Knight 6. You know, I think this is a good answer here. We're going to keep this answer on top of the deck, and we're going to draw into that. Looks like Knight 6 decides to scoop it up, and they're going to pass over to Sleep Elemental. I think we're still ready for Sleep Elemental to go to their turn as well. So this is fine as well. I'm not sure why they scooped it up. I think they realized that they were pretty much out of the game now that the Tight Spout Tyrant's on the battlefield. So let's see if we can manage to kill Sleep Elemental on their turn. So for us, when we go to our turn, what are we going to do? That's a good question. I'm not quite sure. We've got some pretty good blockers for most of their cards on the battlefield. When this Sanitarium Skeleton dies, they're going to be able to create a 1/1 token here. They also can bring back the Icarid if they decide to exile another black creature from the graveyard. I don't know how many they have left. They've got a Gravebreaker Lamia, so it looks like they did actually exile that card. They've also got the Shriek Maw, and that's going to be their last black creature in their graveyard that they can use to get this back. So if they decide to attack with all of these, we do have enough blockers to block each one of them successfully. Let's see how this works out. Let's see if they decide to go on for the full-out attack. We are going to go for the Cerebral Vortex if we can win with it. Only then. If we can't win with it, then it's not going to be helpful for us. So let me see. On their turn, they're going to draw 1 card. Our first Cerebral Vortex will let them draw 2 cards, get dealt 3 damage, and then another 2 cards and get dealt 5 damage. So that's going to be 8 damage total from our Cerebral Vortex. We're only going to want to do that once they're down to 8 life or less. So let's see. They're going to go for their Sek'kuar Commander. Okay, that's fine. They can attack with all of these cards and create a bunch of tokens. That's also okay with us. I have no issues with that because that gets rid of the creatures off the battlefield, and we don't want to see those creatures being dealing damage to us anyways. So I am totally okay with that happening here. They're going to attack with a 3/1 for sure, and I definitely want to attack here or want to block here with the first strike creature. I don't think there's going to be a much value to block any other way. One of the nice things here, even though they're creating tokens, our Tight Spout Tyrant will return those tokens to their hand. So we're not going to see them, pretty much not going to see them doing a whole lot here. That's going to be very bad for us. They're going to create a token that can produce more mana, and then create a token that's got 3 power and haste. So for us, on our turn, our Deglamour won't be able to target anything of theirs. Evolution Charm, we can bring back a creature card from our graveyard. We can choose that Gutter Snipe. That does deal damage to us, I think. So maybe we go for that and leaving up the Cerebral Vortex. That could be actually pretty helpful here. We could even untap the Pyromancer's Goggles with the Sek'kuar Behemoth Beckoner. Hold on a second. So we said that was 8 damage. We deal another 2 damage. They've drawn 7 cards now. So we can actually deal 15 damage with the Cerebral Vortex. So let me think about this. 15 damage. We need to deal 7 damage on top of that. We've got 5 in the air from the Tidespout Tyrant. And I guess with the Gutter Snipe, that would be a little bit more. That would be 5, 7. And then we can go for the Evolution Charm. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We can go for the Declamor, targeting one of our own cards to, you know, close out the game. Yeah, that'll work. That will definitely work. Let's go to our draw, see what we draw into here. We draw into a Summoning Trap. If a creature spell you cast was countered. All right, so that's not going to work out too great for us. All right, so we're going to start off with the Evolution Charm, bringing a creature card from the graveyard back. We're going to choose it with the Gutter Snipe. So we're going to use that. We are going to want to use blue and red. And other than that, I don't think there's much else here. They've got no creatures that they can block with that have flying, so we don't have to worry about any like surprise attacks. Technically, we can use the Riku of 2 Reflections and copy up some more stuff. So that's also pretty nice here too. Yeah, let's go ahead and pay the green here. We'll pay the green, bringing back the Gutter Snipe. We want to try to deal as much damage as we can without having to resort to combat. We will use the Tidespout Tyrant and return the... Let's return the Eldrazi Scion to their hand. Let me see. Does anything in here have reach or flying? Nothing here does, right? So let's just return the thing that allows them to produce mana. We're going to choose that one. We will say yes. What else can we bring back? Shaman of the Great Hunt. I guess that's also another way that we can get more stuff. Beanstalk Giant. I don't think that's going to be very helpful here. Let me see what else we can copy. I guess technically we can copy the... I'm sorry, hold on. I'm trying to think of creatures we can get back. We can technically get back the Rurik Thar. But you know what? I think I want to keep up the mana. We're not going to copy it. I don't think it's going to be super helpful for us here. I'd rather save the mana for when it's really going to matter. Because I don't want to have to do the math right now and figure out what's going to matter and what's not. We'll use 1 red, and then we'll use some green. And let's go for the island here. Yeah, let's go for the island here. Alright, so we're going to get that down. Tidespout Tower, we're going to choose the other token. So get that out of here. Don't want to see that coming around anymore. Get the Gutter Snipe onto the board. We've got the Riku of 2 Reflections. I'm going to copy this one. This one I think we are going to copy. So let's go ahead and go for that. So we will say yes. So pay a green. Let me see here. I think we'll have enough mana to go for this still. Yeah, so we're going to go in green and blue and say yes. So copying the creature. We're then going to tap this for red mana, use the -1, untap the Pyromancer's Goggles, tap it for another red mana. We'll go ahead and go for the Cerebral Vortex, targeting the Sleep Elemental. So we'll pay red, red, and blue. We've got 4 mana left over. So we will go ahead and put a bunch of these things onto the stack. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's put the Cerebral Vortexes at the bottom. So we'll make sure to use those last. So we'll go ahead and go for the Riku of 2 Reflections at the bottom as well. Gutter Snipes at the bottom. And then the Tidespout Tyrant. We're going to use this on their commander. So I'm going to bring back the commander to the hand. Okay, so this should be pretty nice for us. We're going to always yield to this, always yield to that, and always yield to the Tidespout Tyrant. Alright, so we are going to pay a blue and a red here. We've got blue here and red there. We're going to say yes because we do want to copy the Cerebral Vortex. Same targets for the copy. So we're going to say okay. We're going to see if we can make them lose the life here. Same targets. They're down to 16. We've got a lot of cards on the battlefield that we can use. We're going to say same targets. And one more time, let's say that same target. So it looks like that's going to win the game here from the Cerebral Vortex coming in very last. We're going to say good game. And that is going to be it. That is going to be the game. So thank you so much to all my patrons, especially to Brefin for giving me such a cool deck to play. I had a lot of fun with this game, and I hope you had a lot of fun watching this video. So thank you so much to joining me, and I will see you next time. Stay awesome.